सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। Hari Om everyone. Today we are going to have doubt clarification session. So I have received lots of questions. Now only I remember that for last 6 months probably or more than that we have not had the doubt clarification sessions. We are having today. Hopefully we will be able to complete in today's session the questions that I have received. So we will go one by one. Some beautiful questions are there, you can see. Let us start. In shloka number 124 you have mentioned that thought is the window to the self, but later you mentioned that self cannot be realized by thoughts or intellect. Kindly help to understand it properly. You yourself have answered while quoting this. When we say thought is the window to the self, it means that thought cannot reach the self, and therefore self cannot be known by any thought. It does not become an object of knowledge by any kind of mental activity, any kind of thought. But what do we mean by it becomes a window to the self? Through the thought, we can turn our attention to the witness, and thus each thought can lead us to the self. I hope you are getting the point. So each thought becomes a window to see the self. Not that the thought is able to reach the self and able to reveal to us the self. No. But it can become a window. Through the thought, we can reach the self. I think many times we have taken this point also. We have quoted also from Kenopanishad, Pratibodha Viditam. Kenopanishad explains it as Pratibodha Viditam, that which is known through every thought. Pratibodha. Pratibodha means through every thought, Viditam, that which is realized. Means what? It is not realized by that thought, but through that thought, the witness consciousness can be reached. That's the meaning. Next question. When the mind has fewer worldly thoughts, then you can see everything as a happening and many miracles seem to be happening. Is this any indication to the progress on the path of self-realization? What are the ways to know that you are slowly inching forward? Seeing miracles is not the way to judge or to find out whether we are progressing or not. Okay. See, actually, more and more we start to become humble. As earlier also, it was said that, once I had given one anecdote also, that somebody asked a Mahatma how to measure our progress on spiritual path. And that Mahatma said that if we are happy for no reason, then we are progressing. And if we are still finding reasons to become sad, we are not progressing. Another way of indication also is if we start to enjoy our sadhana, if we start to enjoy our swadhyaya, if we start to enjoy our seva, then we should know that we are progressing. If that still is a part of our daily routine and still the thought comes that, I have to finish it, then that means we are not progressing. Okay? This miracle, etc. I'm not a big fan of it, and nor do the Mahatmas and Shastras give any, importance to those things. That's the thing. Next. Question. As I have been listening to the lectures, I realize that I need to increase my adhikaritva by sadhana chatushtaya and spend more time in shravana and manana. I have some family and health issues due to which, as I increase time in my study, I have to do less other obligations. Sometimes it is in sattvic areas, like when they ask to make garlands, I do not raise my hand as it takes away from my study, meditation attempts, etc. Am I being selfish? Shouldn't moksha be my only goal? Maybe I feel guilty because right now mostly it is efforts to sit and focus and attempts to learn verses. But in that time I could have done the task they wanted to assign to me well. So for in-between sadhakas, is it not selfish to focus on spiritual development alone? Now this question, there are lots of words in single quote, okay? I could not read it accordingly, but I understand where this question is coming from, and very important question. When we start walking the spiritual path, all of us make this mistake of considering few things as sadhana and other things as something that takes me away from the sadhana. And we make this distinction purely based on the kind of action. As the person has rightly mentioned, if making garlands, etc. is according to sattvic, but still it is going to take away from my shravana, etc. So what should I choose? See, the point is, it is not about the action that we choose. If there are certain family obligations, we have to do it. It's part of our duty. We cannot run away from it. Please understand this point. Whenever possible, wherever possible, try to remain in this, shravana, manana, etc. If not, if you have to do activities, do it. But while performing that activity, keep chanting God's name. That is in your hand. Sometimes, according to our duty, we have to travel. And many people say traveling takes lots of time and lot of time is wasted. No. Traveling takes lot of time. Correct. Lot of time is wasted. Wrong. Why? Because that same traveling you can do so many other things. So many other things can be done. I'll just give you a simple example that I myself am following. I have to travel twice a day to city for taking some class. Now what I do while going and coming back, I listen to one lecture of Guruji, which is coming on YouTube, that Upanishad Vidyasara. So while going one lecture you listen, while coming back you listen to one lecture. So then what happens, and because we have studied Upanishads, we know what Guruji is talking about. So we don't need book, etc. to refer to at the same time. It's just a thought. And then what happens when that lecture is over, just sit there quietly till you reach. Keep reflecting on the thought. When you reach there, just make some notes if you want to, etc. So what I am trying to explain is that things that we have to do, we have to do. But there are ways that also can be turned into sadhana. And that is in our hand. Nothing we should see as something which will take us away from it. Unless it is desire prompted activity that I want to go for a movie. Now, when you go for a movie in a theater, you can't continue doing sadhana, isn't it? But as long as it is part of duty, as long as something is coming to you, that itself is good way of doing sadhana. So please, request is, don't segregate these things. That only if I do Shravana, then only my time is well used. All other times I am wasting my time. Not necessarily like that. Many things can be done even while driving, even while walking, even while doing so many things. In your mind, you can do so many things. Right? So please note this point. This is a very, very, very important point. Next. Is there a mapping between shariras and koshas? If so, is this mapping correct? Sthula sharira is annamaya kosha. Sukshma sharira is pranamaya kosha plus karmendriya. Manomaya kosha plus jnanendriya. Vijnanamaya kosha plus jnanendriya. Karana sharira is anandamaya kosha. Now, actually this point is discussed elaborately. We don't have to say pranamaya kosha plus karmendriya. Because pranamaya kosha includes karmendriya. Manomaya kosha includes jnanendriyas. Vijnanamaya kosha includes jnanendriya. If you remember at that time, even this question had come that how jnanendriyas are part of two koshas. Right? So, simple classification is annamaya kosha is sthula sharira. Pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya together is sukshma sharira. And anandamaya kosha is karana sharira. That is the answer. Now the question is in Hindi. I will read first in Hindi, then I will translate. प्रभु हम सभी लोग जानते हैं कि मन विचारों का समूह है और हम इन्हीं विचारों के कारण संसार को महसूस करते हैं, अन्यथा यह है ही नहीं, मात्र स्वप्न है। जब हम जानते हैं कि संसार तो मात्र स्वप्न ही है जो जागते में भासता है और स्वप्न में मन ही संसार बन जाता है, सब भ्रम है। मन में यह विचार कहाँ से आते हैं कि इनकी उत्पत्ति का स्रोत क्या है, कैसे संतुलित होंगे व हम विचारों को कैसे शांत करें, विशेष रूप से ध्यान अवस्था में। दूसरा प्रश्न, संसार तो जागते का स्वप्न है और हम सबके स्वप्न अलग अलग होते हैं, फिर भी जब दो लोग या ज़्यादा लोग एक ही असद वस्तु को उसी संसार में या उसी एक स्थान पर देखते हैं तो वह सभी लोगों को वह एक जैसी दिखती है, अलग अलग तरह की नहीं। ऐसा क्यों? कारण क्या है? फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज इन द माइंड देयर आर लॉट्स ऑफ थॉट्स दैट कम एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स we understand because of the study of Vedanta that all these thoughts are like dream. This world is like dream. We understand that. Then from where are all these thoughts coming? That is the question. उनकी उत्पत्ति का स्रोत क्या है? From where are they arising? So the thoughts of the mind are arising from ignorance. That is the root cause of all thoughts. We said avidya kama karma, isn't it? This is the logic that we follow, no? So that avidya creates vasanas, vasanas create the thoughts. Right? So from where are these thoughts arising? From ignorance. Now if you say that I know that the world is unreal, still the thoughts are coming. Yes, you know intellectually, but you have not experienced, so the ignorance is still there. And when that ignorance is still there, it will still give rise to thoughts. This is the answer to first question. Second question is, in the dream, everybody has different dreams. But in our waking, there are some common objects. This is seen as watch by you also, by me also. But in my dream, I am experiencing different things, you are experiencing different things. So how is waking and dream similar? How is waking like a dream? That's basically the question. That is because within the dream, now you imagine, in my dream if there are 5 people and all of us are looking at my mobile, in my dream, 5 people are looking. All the 5 people are looking at the same mobile. Yeah? But just because it is a common understanding or common experience of everyone, does it become real? Think. What I am saying, in your dream, you have 5 people. In your dream phone, all the 5 people are seeing. So the dream phone is common object of experience for all the 5. Just because it is common doesn't mean it is real. To give you another example, sunrise and sunset that we all see together. But that doesn't mean sun is actually rising or sun is actually setting. Something is common experience doesn't mean it is real experience. All of us look at blue sky. But just because all of us are looking doesn't mean the sky is blue. Okay, so something is common experience doesn't mean it will be real. That's the answer. Next. If the scriptures say that the world is not real, it must be true only. But it still seems impossible for me, and hence the question. Shankaracharya ji gives the logic that since the world is not present in deep sleep, therefore it is asat or mithya. I also understand that the waking world is a projection of my mind, just like the dream world. And also that time is a concept of mind. And so we don't experience the passage of time in deep sleep. But my question is that even though I don't experience time, the time has still passed during the time that I was asleep. Also, our dream doesn't continue the next time we go into dream state, but the waking state world continues exactly where we left it off. Also, it can account for the passage of time. For example, if we keep milk for fermentation at night, by morning it would have become curd. Or if a bucket is filling drop by drop at night, by morning it would become completely filled. How can we then say that the world did not exist when I was in deep sleep? I may not have experienced it, but it was still there. Please explain. Do you remember this discussion that we had when we were discussing dream and deep sleep? So the question is what? Is there world in deep sleep or not? Because one of the reasons Shankaracharya ji had given was that since there is no world experienced in deep sleep, therefore the world is not real. Why? If it is real, it should be experienced in all three states. Right? That is where the question is coming from. Now, I hope you understood the logic behind it. That before sleeping, I can hear that in the bucket, drop by drop, water is filling. Then I slept, 6 hours, 7 hours passed. When I woke up, the bucket was filled. Okay? Now, if you say in my deep sleep there is no world, then how the bucket was filled? And if you say that there is world, then why is it said that there is no world in deep sleep? So, answer to this question is, there are two kinds of logics, two vadas we say. I don't remember whether we have discussed this. We must have discussed at some point of time. Srishti Drishti Vada and Drishti Srishti Vada. Did we discuss it during Vivekachoodamani sessions? No, we have not discussed. Okay. So, I am not going to explain it much because we have not discussed. At some point of time when the topic comes, we will discuss. One view, these both are in Advaita Vedanta. So, both are accepted by us. One Vada says, one logic says, Srishti Drishti. The mind sees the world. So, world is there and that world is seen by the mind. Careful. Mind sees the world. This is Srishti Drishti Vada. Drishti Srishti Vada says, mind is world. Mind is world. Mind is not seeing the world, or mind is not the instrument through which you see the world, but mind is world. Okay. Now, carefully note, when you say in first Vada, Srishti Drishti Vada, mind is an instrument through which you see the world, since in deep sleep mind is not there, world is not experienced, but it exists. It's there. Now, since we accept this, all the questions will be answered. I am not experiencing the world in deep sleep because the instrument is not there. World is there. World is there. But I am not seeing it. It's like when suddenly the room becomes dark, I don't see any objects. Are objects there or not there? They are there, but the instrument is gone. Srishti Drishti Vada. All these questions will be answered within that Vada. Now, the second Vada is, mind is world. When you say mind is world, what it means? When in deep sleep mind is not there, world is not there. Don't say world is there but I am not experiencing it. It is not there. Why? Because mind is world. World is mind. Full stop. Now, in Drishti Srishtivada, how do you explain all these things? Very simple. What? When you slept at night, you had some imagination of the world in which the bucket was empty and drop by drop water was falling in it. You slept, mind gone, world gone. When you wake up, your mind imagines now that the bucket is filled with water. Doesn't have to be that when you were sleeping, there was actually the world where the water was still dripping into the bucket and the bucket got filled. You mind. It imagined what? Last night it imagined bucket empty with water. Today morning it is imagining bucket filled with water. Now the problem is, but Vedji, there is continuity. What will you do with continuity? When I go from one dream to another dream, there is no continuity. Tonight I saw one dream. Tomorrow night, I may not see the continuation of that dream. But in waking, it doesn't happen like that. I go to dream, I go to deep sleep, but I come back to the same waking world where I slept. Isn't it? Sometimes it is good thing, sometimes it is bad thing, but that's what happens. What do you mean? What are you trying? If at night I have kept some work which I have not finished, when I get up, that work still is there which is not finished. I cannot get rid of it. Now, that also one of the points which were raised in the question. Just because there is continuity doesn't mean there is reality. Just because there is continuity doesn't mean there is reality. Continuity is because of intelligence of mind. Intelligence of the subtle body, that it is connecting the dots and keeping everything alive, including that concept of time. However, that does not make the world real. To understand this further, I request you, those who are interested, please watch one movie on dreams, which is called as Inception. Old movie, part 1 and 2, especially part 2 you watch, you will get more clarity on it. Inception is the movie where a person creates a device by which you can induce or send a person into a particular dream or send a group of people into the same dream. And then from that dream they go to another dream, then from that dream they go to another dream, and there is, a series of dreams that they go into, and finally the person becomes mad. He doesn't understand, have I come out of all dreams or am I still within one dream? So he has a trick also, which it's a very interesting movie. Not very, sit and relax and keep your head aside and enjoy. Not that kind of movie where you will have to use your brain, but interesting movie. So you go to that movie to understand this further. Inception, the movie name is Inception. From waking, we go to the dream, we come back to waking. Therefore, we think that there is continuity in the waking. That doesn't make that waking world real. That's the point. Hope I have answered. Next question. What are the modifications of the ego? Modifications of the ego is ego becoming different things. The doer, enjoyer, feeler, thinker, perceiver, seer, hearer. These are the modifications of ego. Once ego has been destroyed, it would mean that there is no more individual or jiva and therefore no more vasanas. Isn't that the state of self-realization? And once having known that, how is it possible for a person to consider himself as the limited individual again? Revival of the ego. And since at self-realization there won't be any vasanas, then from where would desires arise again? I thought that destruction of ego is the final step. Once having seen the rope as rope, we can't ever see it as snake again. Please clarify where I have gone wrong in my understanding. Shankaracharya ji, what he is explaining is that ego should be destroyed totally. And once ego is destroyed, be established in that knowledge. The difference is realization and then being established in that realization. That's the difference that we are talking about right now. Earlier also we have seen that Tattva Jnana has happened. Knowledge has taken place, but to, what do we say, be immersed in that knowledge and to experience that Jivan Mukti Ananda, all these further explanations are given. Let me give one more example for understanding. Say, suppose I am learning music and suppose there is something which is very difficult and I want to try it and I should get it. Now I practice and I get it once. That is okay, but that doesn't mean I have become one with that music. I have got it once. But what do we mean by being one with it, being established in it? That at any point of time, I should be able to redo it. At any point of time, I should be able to recreate it. Then I can say that I have become master of that. In sports, etc., sometimes a person performs exceedingly well. But anybody who has performed well once is not called as legend. Legend is a person who does the same thing or achieves higher and higher things day in and day out. It's not once off. That yes, once I achieved, that's it, done. No. So that achieving for the first time is that knowledge which takes place. But then being established in it is what is explained by Shankaracharya. And therefore he says that once that ego is diminishing and is destroyed, don't let it revive. For that what you do? Be established in that knowledge. Then the ego will not come back. That is the meaning. The difference is in that. If everything of the world, next question, if everything of the world is only a projection of mind, why can't I choose to project only good favorable things and make sure that I don't project negative things which will only cause sorrow or suffering? Because you don't know that everything is imagination of mind. In our dream also, every day our dream is in our hand. Isn't it? Who else is there in your dream dictating? Nobody else is there. But still, why do you see bad dreams? Because I don't know that I am the master. That is the whole point. We don't realize that everything is in my hand. And that's the fun of Vedanta, that once we realize it, even if the situation is whatever, it doesn't matter. Why? Because the reaction is in my hand. You focus on that. So, understanding that everything is play of mind, I may not be able to just create situations. But the beauty of it is, when we understand it is play of mind, all situations you are okay with. There is no question of favorable and unfavorable situations. There is no likes and dislikes. Why will you change? Why? Because when you understand that everything is play of mind, you are okay with any play of mind. You are okay with this situation, that situation, any situation. I hope you are getting the point. Once the rope is seen as rope, then we can't see it again as a snake. But a person having had glimpse of reality but not reached the stage of firmly being established in the self, how then is it possible for the ego to revive by Vishayanuchintana and again going back to wrong identification with the BMI, once already having known its true nature? Yes, it is right that once you see rope as rope, you will not again see it as snake. But you can't say that another rope you will never misunderstand to be snake. At that rope you will now understand as rope. But some other rope you may misunderstand as snake. That is the difference between having a glimpse of reality and being established in reality. If you have a glimpse of reality, there is a slight possibility that you may still fall for something lower. But once you are established in it, you will not fall for anything. That is the difference. Okay? Once we understand something, we will not go back to misconception. That is true. But that doesn't mean we will never fall for any other misconception. When will that happen? When we will not fall for any misconceptions? When we establish in the self. That is the question. That is the point. Next. This question actually I did not understand. I am Brahman, knowledge in meditations is Vijnana, retaliation, moksha is no. I did not understand this question. Okay, I'm going to the next one. How does one attain Maha samadhi? How does a soul discard the body voluntarily when it feels he or she has lived its best life? For a person who is realized, intuitive and has developed one's sixth sense or third eye, does God communicate with him or give signs, signals, clues through people, situations or circumstances at the time when his body has to be discarded and at the soul has to go into higher realms? How does one attain Mahasamadhi? That is the main question. See, one does not attain Mahasamadhi just like that. When a person realizes, fall of that person's body is called as Mahasamadhi. Please don't think that every time, every jnani will decide how the body should fall. Actually speaking, the jnani does not decide. The real jnani says it doesn't matter. Tanum tyajatuva kashyam shvapachasya grihethava. Shankaracharya quotes also from Upanishad which says that whether the body falls in a holy place called Kashi or falls in somebody's house who is the most wretched fellow who eats dogs, shvapachasya grihethava. It doesn't matter. Why? Because that mukta, that realized person has become liberated at the moment of realization. So cares zero for when and how the body is going to fall. Will the God communicate to him? He is one with God. He is one with the entire world. Where the communication? Communication is with two people. No? There is no two-ness remaining at all. So that is not something which is, and this sixth sense, third eye, intuition, etc. Sixth sense, five senses only are not his. That's the interesting part. He understands that there are no five senses. Where he will become sixth sense or third eye? First he understands these two eyes are not mine. So please don't get into all these kind of things. The goal of the life, the goal of our human life is to attain liberation. How the body falls, when will it fall, how will it fall, doesn't matter. Okay, next question. Is Nama Japa Nama Smarana Nididyasana? No. Nama Japa is Nama Japa, Nididyasana is Nididyasana. So, understand the difference, no? Nama Japa is repeating the name of your Ishtadevata. Nididyasana means to being established in the knowledge I am Brahman, which is gotten through Shravana and Manana. Two are very different things. Being Sukshma, does regular practice makes the Buddhi Sukshma? Regular practice of what? If the practice is of Sukshma, then it will make the mind Sukshma. Regular practice of what? If I am practicing cricket every day, that's not going to make my mind Sukshma. What kind of sadhana you are doing, that will define whether your mind will become Sukshma or not. Can you suggest some practical ways of destroying our vasanas and pramada? There are many which Shankaracharya himself has suggested, so I am not going anywhere outside it, but I am saying few things are there. No, do your duty, best way of reducing your vasanas, because most of our vasanas come as something that I have to do which is against my duty. All those times stop yourself from going there and just say that I will do this. That's one way of doing it. If we do that, that is sufficient. Pramada means what? Thinking about unnecessary things which are not required at that time. Same way, you do what is your duty, then you will not fall for any other things. I think the best way to get rid of vasana and pramada is just what is my duty, I do that. Every single time any thought comes to my mind, you ask the question, is it part of my duty or is it something that I am cooking up? Is it something that I am making up? Just think about it. If it is part of your duty, do it. That's easiest, I think. Next. Chidabhasa is the reflection of consciousness. Without it, the Annamaya Kosha will be inert. This is understood. It was mentioned that pranamaya, vijnanamaya and anandamaya kosha also become inert. In that case, how do these get carried to another body after death? Because vijnanamaya, anandamaya and pranamaya, vijnanamaya, manomaya and anandamaya, some problem with this question. The subtle body basically has capacity to reflect consciousness. Now, because of the reflection of consciousness, they become, so to say, sentient. So, even while going from one body to another body, they remain sentient because of the reflection of consciousness. So, they can go. There is nothing wrong. The body gets sentience because of karmaja tadatmya. So, as long as prarabdha is there, the body appears to be sentient. When that prarabdha ends, the body falls, but the mind etc. still has reflection of consciousness, so it can take up next body. It still carries the sentiency through the reflection. If deep sleep is due to punya, when a person takes medication for sleep, how will that affect his future karma, as he is not entitled to that state? Who says he is not entitled to that state? How do you know he is not entitled to that state? Please don't get confused. Punya is result of past action. Now, while going through that punya, we are creating more actions which will result in punya and papa in future. Don't get mixed up with these two. Every single time I get deep sleep, it is because of punya. Now, if that deep sleep comes because of natural state or because of medication, it doesn't matter. Deep sleep is exhausting punya. Now, you are saying that he is not entitled to that state. How do we know? How do we know that he is not entitled to that state? If medication is taken, he becomes entitled to that state. And he gets it. Now, do you mean to say, Vedji, that one should take medicine? I am not saying anything like that. What I am saying, don't get mixed up. What I am facing right now is a result of my past. What I am doing right now is going to create my future. Okay. Verse 350. It is said that when we wake up from a dream, there is no dream world left, but this world remains. So when self-realization happens, this perceived world does not remain. Then what do we wake up to? What is it that remains? The self alone remains. We wake up to that state of consciousness where there is nothing other than us, then nothing other than me. That is what we wake up to when we realize. Next question. Can we relate Brahma Bhava Sthiti? Leave likes and dislikes as first step as mentioned by you. Not mentioned by me, mentioned by Shankaracharya ji. With Gunatita Lakshana or Sthita Prajna. Yes, you can equate Gunatita Lakshana Sthita Prajna as Brahma Bhava Sthiti. There is no problem. Okay. Next, when we say Satyam Jnanam Anantam is same as Satchidananda, we equate Satyam to Sat, Jnanam to Chit. Please explain how Anantam is same as Ananda. Very simple. Yo vai bhuma tat sukham na alpe sukham asti. Quote from 7th chapter of Chandogya Upanishad, which explains that how infinity alone is bliss. Bhuma. Yo vai bhuma, that which is infinite alone is sukham, that alone is bliss. Na alpe sukham asti. There is no joy in finite. So infinite is equal to bliss. This is Shruti. Yukti is what? Anything that is ephemeral, perishable, ending, finite cannot give me lasting joy. Simple. Bliss means what? Permanent happiness. Permanent happiness is possible by something which is permanent. And that permanent is what? Infinite. So what is infinite? Alone is bliss. Satyam is Sat, because existence. That which is there in all the three periods of time. Jnanam is Chit, consciousness. Same meaning. In the same way, Anantam is Ananda. Satchit Ananda or Satyam Jnanam Anantam is one and the same. Next. Sometimes elders say that dreams which are seen in the early morning time just before we wake up will come true. Is this statement true? It is not true. We have seen that dream is about the world, about the past. Dream is not about the future. In dream, I see what I have experienced in the waking world, either in this birth or in some other birth. I cannot see future in dream. Clear? Next. Can we explain it as I remember what I saw in the dream and therefore my mind projected it into waking and it came true? Possible. You remember the dream of the morning and therefore you immediately start imposing. All is possible. But the fact of the matter is, in the dream, I only can see something that I have seen in the past. Jumbled up things together, but it doesn't make me see the future. Some of the imaginations of the dream may happen in future. That is fine. But that doesn't mean I have seen the future. I have imagined the future earlier in my dream. Now I am seeing it. Sometimes while going through an experience, we have the feeling that this has happened before, deja vu. Is that also like the mind has already thought of it and now projected it in the waking state and therefore I think it is happening again? Please clarify these two scenarios. So first scenario I have answered. Now second scenario, deja vu. Deja vu concept happens because of two reasons. Deja vu is what? I am going through an experience and I feel that I have already gone through this experience. It can happen two times. Number one, similar situation, similar setup you have already gone through, which is very possible, isn't it? We are mostly living in the same house with the same people, we wear same kind of clothes, so it is highly possible that we have gone through the same experience earlier also. Or we have imagined it, either in dream or even in the waking we have imagination, no? We have imagined it and now we are actually going through it. So deja vu can happen because of any of these two. Okay. Still, deja vu is not a peep into future. Because right now I don't know what is going to come later as deja vu. That is important thing. Next. Do birthmarks on the body mean anything? And do dreams we see have any meaning apart from just being a reflection of our insecurities? Baba re Baba. Do birthmarks on the body mean anything? For me, no. There is a separate science which deals with this. For them, I am sure it means a lot. For me, I have no idea. Do dreams have any meaning other than your insecurities? I don't know. I don't even know how dreams have that reflection of insecurities also. That also I don't know, because I have never experienced anything like that in my dream. Generally, my dream is something, which I enjoyed, experienced, something I loved, comes in the dream. So, I don't know. That is the best answer I can give for both these. I understand that I am not this body, mind or intellect. But when life problems hit, emotions take over. While I know they are transient and I am not touched by them, the body and mind still express pain and sadness and tears. What is the best thing to do when you are torn between knowing and being? Let the mind, etc. continue sorrow. You don't become sad. If the tears want to come out through your eyes, let them come out. See, again, what happens is we have created an image in our mind that a person who realizes that I am not the body should not cry. See, this is the image that we have created. And then we are saying, but I am getting tears. So let it be now. No, where it is said that tears will never come out of the eyes of the jnani, or never, anywhere, nothing like that is said. Okay. So please break this imaginary image that you have created about a jnani or about a realized person or about being rather than just knowing. Now going forward, please understand, don't get identified with it. That's the point that we can do. If mind wants to be sad, let it remain sad. If body wants to show certain reactions to the situations, let it show. But actually, it will not happen. This is a hypothetical situation, because the moment our intellect becomes firm in the knowledge, the mind and body automatically are strengthened. It happens automatically. That does not mean that I will never cry or the mind will never become sad, which is fine. Point at that time is don't get identified even with it. Let it continue to do whatever it wants to. Next. My mind has recently become stronger than my intellect, and I am unable to even sit for meditation even though I was able to do it regularly for almost a year every morning. I am just not able to convince my mind and body, though I know I should and I must. How do I get the discipline back into my life? Please give some easy practical ways to help or force myself to wake up in the morning and set a routine. Thank you. There are no easy ways. And don't think that it is happening only with you. It happens with everybody. It happens with me also. It happens with every single person. Why? Because mind is unyielding. It is not easy. So what? Every day morning, get up and start fighting with mind. One way. Or second way, convince the mind. So that when the intellect says, mind listens. If mind is not listening, fight with it. But it is something that we have to do every day. Every day alarm rings, everybody feels that I should not get up. 5 minutes more. So much that now we have got that snooze button, which automatically makes it 5 minutes later. Earlier alarm clocks didn't even have that. Now they have that. Isn't it? Why? Because it is everyday fight. Okay. So don't worry about it. Even if mind has become more powerful than intellect, doesn't matter. Again get up next day, again start fighting. That is the only way. There is no easy way to put your life into proper schedule. Okay. Every day you have to do it. Routine is something that we have to do every day. In principle, I get that I am the supreme consciousness and this world is in my consciousness, similar to how my dreams are. In terms of making this an understanding on a practical level, how do I begin to see everything as Brahman? It's still easier when it comes to objects, but it's difficult to relate to other humans as Brahman or treat them as the same reality as I am. I can tell myself that they are divinity too, like I am, but it's hard to see them as me, mine, or the same. Please suggest ways to imbibe this knowledge at this body-mind level. What is happening is, we have understood, but still the likes and dislikes are very strong. That is why it is difficult. And also, for some people, as you said, for you, it is easier to feel that the objects are Brahman, but not the people. For some, I mind you, they will be able to see people as Brahman, but not objects. Such people also will exist. Okay? Question is it that important? It is not that important. Whether it is objects or people, everything is Brahman. Everything is reality. If you are finding it difficult, have a step in between, which is called as God. First, start seeing that everything is my own God, my own Ishtadevata. Even that is difficult. Come one more step down and you start finding everybody is sent by God to be in my life. So every single person that I am meeting is sent by God for my benefit. Then slowly prepare yourself to understand that everybody is God. Then you further develop yourself and understand that everything is Brahman and that Brahman is me. Okay. So if you cannot go there, come one step down, but don't come below that. Okay. That much I can tell. Next. Little more clarity on verse 394. How space too is taken as limited when compared to Atman. Because space ends in Paramarthika Satta. In Vyavaharika Satta, space covers everything. But it is not there in Paramarthika Satta. That's why space is limited. Okay. I hope that clarifies. In other words, space has time limitation. Technically, I am telling. Desha, Kala, Vastu, Paricheda. We have seen three kinds of limitations. Limitation by space, limitation by time, limitation by object. Space has limitation by time. What do you mean limitation by time? It is not there in all the three periods of time. Means what? It is not Sat. Only Sat is there in all three periods of time. Space is not Sat. Now space is not Sat means what? It will end. And it will end means what? It is not infinite. It is limited. Okay? Hint I have given, that much is sufficient. Next. What has to be done in Nididyasana? My doubt is chanting the mantras and think of Lord, single pointed attention, or chant like I am Atma Brahma Tattvamasi, or be a witness to our thoughts. In between the chant, observe the silence. Is my understanding correct? This is all okay for preparation. Nididyasana means what? Sajatiya vritti pravaha. Keep entire focus on that Brahman and the thought that I am that Brahman. You can take help of mantras. Nirgunam, Nishkalam, Nishkriyam, Nirakaram, Nirvikaram. You can take help of shlokas that we have seen in Vivekachoodamani. Jati Niti Kulagotra Duragam, Nama Rupa Guna Dosha Varjitam, Desha Kala Vishaya Ativartiyat, Brahma Tattvamasi Bhavayatman. You can take help of that. You can take what you are saying, Tattvamasi, you repeat. But repetition of Mahavakya is generally not said as something which is to be done. Maintain that single thought. If you want to focus on silence, etc., I think you are mixing up two things. There is something called as dhyana, which is part of bhakti sadhana, where you remember the form of the Lord, name of the Lord, and you focus on some japa mantra, and then try to increase the space between the silence between the mantra. That is all in bhakti sadhana it is mentioned. It can be done for Nididyasana as a preparation of Nididyasana. As the main Nididyasana, you have to maintain the single thought, I am Brahman. Sajatiya. And any other thought which is in line with this. Right? Pravaha. Continuous flow of this thought. That is what is Nididyasana. You have taught us the difference between Jagat and Samsara. If Jagat was created by the Lord, then how can we say that the world is not real? Because Lord is also not real. Same way. Just because it is created by Lord means what? So what? As long as I am in the Vyavaharika Satta, world is real, Lord is real, everybody is real. But from where am I saying that the world is not real? From Paramarthika Satta, no? Then in that Paramarthika Satta, even Lord is not real. Even Lord is not the creator of the world. The problem comes when one foot in Vyavaharika, one foot in Paramarthika. Then the doubt will be there. Next, when maintaining Brahmakara Vritti, is it the self is infinite, non-dual, actionless, etc., etc., or is it I am the self which is infinite, non-dual, actionless, etc., etc.? The second one. That which is shown as the nature of Brahman is me. Is me is a very important factor of Brahmakara Vritti. Next, in Brahmatmana Samstitihi, there has to be complete destruction of vasanas. But, number one, even the maintaining of Brahmakara Vritti is done with a little bit of doership. Please correct me if this understanding is not correct, because doership will end only when the individuality ends. So doesn't this also create vasanas, good vasanas, and aren't they also an obstruction in firm abidance? Maintaining Brahmakara Vritti is not maintaining doership. Actually, what is doership? I am doer, which means I am Jiva. And what is Brahmakara Vritti? I am Brahman. Now, these two thoughts are opposite to each other. If you try to maintain the second kind of thought, how will it maintain the first thought? It will actually oppose. It is opposing. So, it's not same. Maintaining Brahmakara Vritti is not same as any other thought which is coming from Vasana. That is very important. Next. Also, the desire of liberation, mumukshutva, is needed for me to be able to act towards the goal. Isn't that desire also an impediment in the last stages? Yes, it is. But that desire will not remain. You start with that desire, but as you go forward, the desire will drop itself. As you know, in that rocket, as it starts going to the higher, what do we say, layers, orbits, etc., slowly things start to fall. Now remember, if things have to fall, why are you putting it? Because it is required to reach there. That particular item is required to be part of that rocket. Then when it reaches that state, it is not required. Now rocket has got what is required, then it will go ahead. It's exactly like this. That mumukshutva is required to start on the path to reach a particular stage. Now at that time, the mumukshutva also fall. So but if that desire is there, the desire will not be there. That is the answer. Okay. Next. Shankaracharya says, to abide in the self, we have to keep reducing vasanas. To reduce vasanas, we have to try keep abiding in the self. Yes. Please explain a little more on trying to keep abiding in the self. How is this to be done? How is this to be done? By reducing vasanas. See, basically what Shankaracharya is saying, there are two things. We have forgotten the self, the real nature of the self, and we are totally attached to the world. So detach from the world and realize the self. This is the opposite way that we have to do, because we have made two mistakes. We have forgotten ajnana, and then we have considered the world to be giving us joy. Isn't it? Moha or avarana and vikshepa. Now you have to stop doing both. Now how do these both things work? Abiding in the self requires reducing vasanas. And to reduce vasanas, you have to abide in the self. Basically what it means is, keep trying both, and at one point of time, both will be achieved. If you keep trying one, the other one will automatically come. That is also true. But if you are not able to do it, then try both. And then you will get the result of both. That's the thing. So trying to abide in the self means what? Being in the thought, continuously thinking about, I am that Brahman. I am that supreme consciousness. This is called abiding in the self. Not falling. Not falling means not thinking that I am jiva. I am happy, I am sad, I am angry, I am not falling to that. That is called as abiding in the self. So you can either do it by continuously focusing or by reducing the vasana, so that automatically the mind will go towards the self. Anyway, you can do. One more, Hindi. साधना ध्यान में बैठे हुए जब हम उस स्रोत की ओर बढ़ रहे होते हैं, अपूर्व से शांति में होते हैं, उसी में खोए से होते हैं, उस अवस्था में यदि ऐसा लगे कि यहाँ रुकना हो जाए, तो मन में केवल एक भाव क्या रुक सकता है, जबकि मैं जानता हूँ कि अन्य भाव की कोई आवश्यकता नहीं होती, क्योंकि मन पुनः वापस आने की ओर बढ़ जाता है. यह अवस्था कैसे टिकेगी? नहीं टिकानी है. We are not supposed to maintain this state where we feel peaceful. While realizing, on the path of realization, when the mind gets into this kind of stagnant peace, it is also one of the obstacles, called as rasaswada. We have discussed rasaswada. Rasaswada means mind starts to get a kind of intoxication because of the extreme peace that it is experiencing. But that's not peace actually. That is absence of problems. Remember, it's not a permanent state. It will look like we have reached, but we have not reached. Why? Because that light is not there. It is just, mind is in suspension. Mind has not merged in Brahman. So we should not try to maintain this state, nor should we try to experience that peace more and more. The best thing is go still further, still cross it and reach Brahman. Then you will experience the permanent peace always. Okay. What is Vedanta's guidance on debts and mortgages? Vedanta doesn't give guidance in that, because Vedanta is spiritual science. Okay, debt etc. is worldly science. So I have no idea. Last two questions. Thanks to all the teachings, now I am able to watch my mind and thoughts and objectively look at what emotions I am going through. However, I am not able to control either the thoughts or the emotions. Witnessing is helping me become the observer, but how do I change the emotion or thought, especially when it's negative or scary or makes me anxious? What practical ways can I adopt to not get affected by them? By not changing them. Don't change the thought. Even if they are scary thoughts, so what? Don't get attached to it. Even to try to change the thought is getting involved with the thought. Once we have realized that I am the witness, any thought come, let that thought go away. How does it matter whether it is good or bad? The level should be reached where we don't even label the thoughts as good or bad. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let them be there or not there. It is something like, when I wake up, dream is dream. It doesn't matter whether good dream or bad dream. What is the point in analyzing that, oh, it was a bad dream and what? See, analyzing the dream means getting involved with it, giving some kind of reality to it. Don't do that. Being witness necessarily means not getting involved with the thoughts. Let the thought be good or bad. The stage should come where you are not even labeling the thought. Thought is coming and going. That's it. That's what you should do. Meditation is effortless awareness of our true self. How and what is this true self which can be stayed and established? That you will know when you reach the meditation. It cannot be explained. It cannot be understood intellectually. That is the main thing about true self. Follow the path which is given by Bhagavan Shri Adi Shankaracharya, and we will reach that state where we will realize what is this true self. For that only all the classes are meant for that only. Finally to realize that self. Okay. Nice question which has come, I think, during the class. Okay. Nice one to end with. What is the point? The purpose of entire exercise is to realize the self. We walk the path which is shown by the scriptures and by the Guru. Keep faith in both of them as well as in God, and one day we will reach. Right. Thank you for questions. See, few people are asking questions, but many of you without asking questions have got so many answers. That is the beauty of this. Right? So many of you might not even know that these questions exist in your mind. But when somebody asks, then you start thinking, "Arey, haan, ye to mere dimag mein bhi aaya tha. I also thought about this." So you got the question also and you got the answer also. To the best of my ability and capacity, I have answered this. There can be many more answers which can be given. Keep reflecting. Best way of answers are when you get answers by yourself. Right? Chalo. We'll conclude. Next session onwards, we'll continue. Okay, our next topic continues. Right. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.